All right. Welcome back to another episode of Hammering Down. I'm your host, Keller Hodges, and I'm being joined by a really, really special guest coming from London and Cyprus and Greece and America again, going back to the UK and now coming back to the US. I'm being
Uh,
joined by Sadik Balarabe.
Pleasure to be here.
So, for people asking, how do you actually pronounce your last name?
You've actually said it right. You just literally pronounce every letter. So Balarabe is
Okay.
perfect. Yeah.
Awesome, because I'm sure for you, your last name has had to be one of the most interesting things that people will come up with to say it, right?
Yeah. Everywhere someone says it different has their own take on it. You get Balarabe, Balaraba, but never actually anyone just pronounces it. I think since I've been here, I've heard it pronounced like the best of everywhere I've been, like literally exactly correctly. So yeah, that's a plus.
I mean, that's something, I guess. Balarabe, or what was it? Balarabe?
Yeah,
That one?
Balarabe.
I've I would have never even considered that one. That would have never even crossed my mind.
uh, I'm happy to hear that though, because yeah, I'm happy about that. It's pronounced well here, so I like that. That's at
Good
least
to,
good.
I mean, hey, that the little things, the little things. I mean,
Yeah,
for a lot of people who listen to this, luckily there's a lot of English people who enjoy this podcast. So, your
yeah,
accent may be,
yeah,
great. It's like awesome. But for people, there's also people who listen to this from like Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, places that you're used to, who might be
yeah.
hearing this, hearing my accent, your accent, are like, what is going on with this?
It's nice, to have the combination of two. It shows the
Yeah.
diversity of it all.
So, look, everybody wants to know about your playing career because I think everybody has the, real fascination with the true journeyman. But
Mhm.
that's not really where I want to start. I want to start off with something that's a lot more important. If I know right, you have kids and, significant other back in London or back in England, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
What's it
three kids and a missus as well. Yeah.
what's it like being an international dad, man?
Oh, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tough, especially obviously when my kids are so young. So they're kind of learning every day. They're learning something new, and sometimes I feel like I'm missing that. So it's tough in that sense, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why I do what I do, and it's to provide for them ultimately. So when I think back to that, it makes it a whole lot more easier to bear with. So yeah,
So whenever you're, because I'm assuming you have to do the whole FaceTime, Skype, do all that stuff to see them. What's
Mhm.
that kind of schedule like? Do you call them once a day? What's that work?
Yeah. So it's normally twice a day.
Twice a day?
So when I wake up in the morning, right before I go training, they're basically halfway through their day already. So that's when we have our first little conversation. How was your morning? How was your afternoon? And then pretty much when I'm done with training, I settle down a bit, then I call them again right before bed. So it's kind of interesting because my day is only just beginning here, and their day is pretty much done. But you get used to it. You get used to it. So I've been doing it for a long time. The only difference about here is the time difference.
Mm.
Because across Europe, to be fair, across Europe they'll travel a lot with me. But where one of my eldest daughters in school now, she's changed school a few times already, so I don't really want to move her anymore. So obviously it just makes sense for them to be over there and I just be here. But yeah, normally it's 1 or 2 hour difference. So being here, 6 hours difference. So that was a bit harder to get used to, but we've gotten there now. We've got a good pattern going on. Yeah.
So back over there, people are talking about the, record-breaking heat waves and all that kind of stuff. Have you kind of laughed at them and said this is nothing compared to moving here or what?
Ah, yeah. Now I have because, but obviously we're not used to that. So the minute we kind of hit over, like I don't know what it is in like Fahrenheit, but when we hit over like 25 degrees Celsius, for us in England, that's a summer. Like we soak that up. Yeah, but with especially being here now, I thought Cyprus was hot, and now coming here, all of a sudden it's a different kind of heat. So yeah, that all of a sudden seems like a walk in the park.
So for people who are wondering, around 25 degrees Celsius is 77 degrees here, which, to be honest with you, man, we may not hit that till October.
Oh boy. Yeah. You know what? For a holiday, it's nice, but running up and down the football field, the soccer field, it's a whole different ball game.
No doubt. Luckily this year, because of this was before you got here, we had the World Games and moving to this new stadium, we haven't had the true summer slate.
Hmm.
Normally, in the middle of the summer when we are rocking around, 110 degrees or so Fahrenheit, which if I don't know, I'm gonna do the quick math on that because I
Hmm.
think that's 40 around 43 Celsius.
Damn. Yeah, that's great.
That's that's what you guys would be like running in and like training in and all that kind of stuff. And luckily this year for actual matches, we haven't had too many of those because everything's been in the afternoon or late at night. So
Yeah.
small plus.
It's too hot. Damn, that's a lot. Yeah. Especially on turf as well. When you like on turf, it's just that much hotter as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, damn. Thank goodness we didn't have to go through that. Thank goodness I didn't have to go through that because
You kind of mentioned Cyprus a little bit, so I kind of want to jump there. You
yeah,
know, for people who are not, connected, I guess, with that just seems like an odd situation in general,
yeah,
just because like Northern Cyprus is a place that a lot of people haven't heard of.
yeah, yeah,
Um, how
yeah.
do you how do you get called to do that? Like, is your agent or whomever, like, do they reach out to you and say, "Hey, man, we like how you look." They like how you look. How's it work?
Yeah. So um, there's a bunch of different ways, but for me, North Cyprus has a very close relationship with Turkey. Because obviously in the north of Cyprus you have Turkish people, in the south of Cyprus you have Greek people. So where I played in Turkey, they have a quite good connection there, and they're recognized by Turkey. Yeah, so having been there, then my agent basically said to me, "Look, we have a opportunity that's come up. It's kind of something random at the time." And he's come to me with North Cyprus, and the team that I was in, Mouse Tukuju, he's come to me with that. So I was like, okay, it's interesting. Um, so yeah, first and foremost, it's kind of like for me, I'm always kind of driven by a challenge. So where the conditions were right for me, it was right for my family, and my wife, she's actually of North Cyprus descent. She's
Mm.
Turkish Cypriot, so it kind of just made sense that okay, you know what? At this point, they've made me a good offer. They've got a good thing going on there. So why not go give it a shot? And then yeah, things turned out really well there. Yeah,
Yeah, you ran the league, man. Everything
yeah,
that you could have won, you won.
yeah. And I had two spells there because obviously the first time I went there for half a season, leaving Turkey to go there for half a season. As I said, my agent brought it up to me at a time where Turkey was a bit up and down. Turkey's it's great. You have great fans. You have a good level of football. They're very passionate, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that sometimes don't. It wasn't really going the way of myself and my team. So when my agent came to me with that, it just made sense. So after going there for half a season, we won the league and the cup then, and I was the top scorer for the cup in that my first half a season there as well. And then I had an offer to go to Spain, so I actually left to go to Spain. And then after the year in Spain with COVID hitting and everything like that, another opportunity, they called me to come back there again. And I just said, you know what? It was even better offer. It made more sense for my family again. And yeah, I just decided to go for it again and challenge myself to do better. And we did.
I
Yeah,
mean, the Golden Boot, winning the cup, winning the trophy,
yeah,
being one of I decided to go through and look at some of the articles what I can. Granted, Google Translate only does so much, trying to
yeah,
figure out what it all says, but, I mean, there were real conversations of you being one of the best players to come out of that league, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
For you as a player, how, I guess, much of a badge of honor is that for you?
Yeah, it is a real honor because I kind of look at even if you look at the best levels in the world, we have so many great players who have never been recognised for it or even won trophies. We have so many players who's played in the Premier League but don't have trophies to their name.
Yep.
So that alone is an honour, you know, to go somewhere and it's the best for what they have, and to be held as one of the best and win trophies. It's always an honour, you know. And I'm someone who I value that. I try to always be humble. I try to always make time for people, and to get that kind of love and respect back, it's great. It's a great feeling.
So I kind of want to go back to a little bit more of the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And you're growing up in London, and you and I had talked about this after your very first, I guess, appearance with the club, where you scored a goal against Atlanta United too. You grew up a Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
How do you do that in London, man?
Do you know, it's kind of there's the main reason behind it is my dad, like it's family. So because my dad supports them, so I just end up watching them over and over. And then I kind of had a real thing. I really idolized Ryan Giggs. Like he was one of my favorite players. So obviously growing up, I was actually a winger before I was a striker.
Mhm.
So he was someone that I kind of looked at a lot. United were the winning team. My dad supported them, so it just made sense, really. Just basically jump on the bandwagon, I guess. And I never really went back, you know. And now it's just more than that. So
Yeah, I mean, it helps that you're supporting them during, Sir Alex. That
yeah,
definitely
a
helps.
lot of good, great players have come out of there, and it just got better and better. Giggs, Scholes, Ronaldo, Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, Berbatov. Oh, there's so many good players coming at that time as well for United. So it just kind of was. I was just fixated on them. Yeah. So it started as following them because that's all I had to watch, my dad and whatnot. But then it got to a case where, like, no, these guys are really good. I'm learning a lot from them. So, yeah.
So, I mean, if anybody's ever seen the chart or the maps of like all the clubs that are in the football league in England, London is the hot spot.
Yeah.
What was for teams that were in the football league or like in National League North South, whatever? What was your local club?
My most local club was, it's got to be Welling United. Yeah, so they're in the National League South right now. I actually played for them like as a teenager as
Hmm.
well. Like there are so many, but they're the most local. In terms of the top leagues, we have Charlton Football Club, Crystal Palace, Millwall, Millwall. Hmm. Who else? Obviously, you have Chelsea, you have
Mm.
Arsenal, but the most local to Southeast London, where I actually live, is them three that I mentioned first. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. And you and I have briefly talked about it. I'm a Palace fan personally.
Yeah.
So it Millwall, not a fan of Millwall, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's funny, one of your teammates once played under Pat Vieira with Mikey Lopez.
Ah.
So when Mikey Lopez played for New York City FC, his head coach was Pat Vieira.
Oh yeah. Okay. I never knew that. I never thought about that as well. Yeah.
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 So it's one of those things that there's connections everywhere around
Yeah.
this club. And one of the cool connections that I don't know if you know about. So you played with Chicago Inferno when you came
Yeah.
over,
Mm.
which this was when you were still a D2, I think, at Jackson College, right?
Yeah. So that was the summer before I went to Saginaw Valley State. So after finishing at Jackson Community College, I went to play for Chicago Inferno the following summer.
So
Yeah.
you only made 5, 6 appearances for them, right?
Yeah.
Only one goal. Do
Yeah.
you remember the goal?
Oh, do I remember? Do you know what? I can't actually remember it.
So you don't know who you scored on for
Yeah,
that.
I can't remember.
You were playing against the Springfield Demise, and you scored on now teammate Trevor Spangenberg. Your only goal came against Trevor.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you can hold that one over his head from time to time.
I'm worried because we get into it at training a lot. You know, Trevor's very competitive, so scoring on him in training as well. It's not easy, but when I do, I let him know. You know, so I'm gonna remind him of that as well. Now, thanks for bringing
He
that up.
he let it slip. One of his favorite things you should try sometime is try to chip him.
Yeah,
Loves it.
all the
He
time. Yeah, yeah, we love a bit of that in training. Yeah,
Man, so you come to the US to come play college ball.
yeah.
How how in the world does that come up? Because when you went to Jackson, they had just made it to the Division II, I guess, national runner-up, right? They were semi or finalists that year before you got there, right?
Um, uh, Saginaw or Jackson. Jackson was
Right,
my.
okay.
I think Saginaw Valley State was. Um, so yeah, it just kind of like because I didn't get a pro contract in the UK, you know, and obviously this America scholarship thing was kind of new at the time, up and coming. So it was just a path that actually it was actually some of my friends that actually was, oh, you know, we found this. What do you think about this? And I was the only one of all my friends to actually pursue it. Yeah. So the funny thing about that is I actually had an offer to go to Manhattan College, which was a D1 in New York,
Mhm.
but I couldn't make the grades. I couldn't get my SATs to where it needed to be, so I wasn't able to go there. And then at Jackson Community College, the coach there reached out to me, who was still very close now. He's done a lot for me, and he always still kind of gives me advice and tips and everything like that. He convinced me to come over there on a full scholarship there, and they just basically helped me out a lot because, to be honest with you, I thought that okay, I was gonna come from UK, play one season, be the best, and then go pro or something. I thought it was like that, but it was only when I really came here I really realized how big of an emphasis there was on school
Mhm.
and achieving your grades before you can actually move on to the next level. So yeah, that was a big eye opener for me, but it kind of changed my whole mindset on things. And so it was good.
That's really interesting because whenever I've talked to people who are in, like, MLS Academy, right?
Yeah,
I've talked to players who are in the Atlanta United Academy, and their whole day is football, right?
yeah,
They wake up, to training, they go watch film, they get ready, they do some recovery, they go back to training, they do
yeah,
whole day's football. And then some of them go out and go to college right after that. And it's
yeah,
the student part of being a student athlete is something that is talked about, but it's not really talked about. It's kind of
mm,
almost hush hush, even though it's a major part of being
yeah.
on campus.
Yeah, yeah. When that's what I really learned, and to be fair, I feel like coming here at that time it taught me a lot because it brought new values to me because having to balance being an athlete as well as a full time student, that was tough for me because before I came here, before I came to America that time, it was very different. So obviously I went to like high school and then I spent some time with Reading Academy, and it was just
Mhm.
football. So it was train in the morning, go gym, eat lunch, train again. You know, that's literally all it was for a period. So coming here again, it was even harder because we had to balance training with making grades. You know, so that was it was tough for me at first. But like I said, the coach there, he really like stood up and helped me through a lot. And then from my first year to the second year in Jackson Community College, I saw a massive improvement on my grades as well as on the pitch as well. So it was good. It was a good experience.
So for you now with kids, are
Yeah.
you kind of seeing their education a little bit different too now?
Yeah, definitely. It's so important. I for one, I never really valued it as much as I probably should have. But as I obviously got older and everything, I value it a lot more. And for my kids, it's one of the most important things. It's why they're not here. One of the main reasons why they're not here right now, just because I know they'll get a good education here, but I just don't want to keep moving them.
Mhm.
You know, that's it. So I might as well let them settle. Let my daughter start her education right, and then yeah, we'll make it work the way we can.
So after that, you go on to new school and
Yeah,
then you leave and you go on to Greece.
yeah,
So you end up in the second tier, and then the year after that, you're in the third tier, spending 2, 3 years in Greece.
yeah,
Just and you're going from England to the US to Greece
yeah,
to seems like they're all pretty different culturally.
Yes, yeah, that's the key to it. It is it's very different because at the end of it, it's different languages, is different styles of play, different coaches. But at the end of the day, as I always say, football is one language. You get on the field, it's 11v11. Whoever scores the most goals wins. So
Yeah,
no matter what the culture is, although that was tough at times, the ultimate goal is the same. Yeah. So even at that moment, it was kind of a choice to make for me because at the time, not only did I have Greece, I had Greece, I had Spain, and I had Germany at the
mhm,
time. And that was coming off of 30 goals in junior college, moving on to PDL, and then obviously going to Saginaw. So I had at the time quite a few different connections made at the time, agents and whatnot. And I actually made the choice to go to Greece because the offer was better. I didn't
right.
really think football. You know, and no disrespect to Greece, it is good and it's up and coming again, but I probably would have Spain and Germany are probably better football options than Greece, you know. But because the offer in Greece seemed better at the time, as a young lad, just thinking, oh, you know what, where am I going to make the most money? Where am I going to? I just chose to go there, you know. But I think everything happens for a reason. I don't regret it because it did teach me a lot. Yeah, it was a good
I
experience.
mean, being a, 22, 23-year-old, seeing the dollar bill, it's hard to turn it down.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
now you're
Mm,
one of the more senior members on this Legion team. There's a
yeah,
lot of youngsters on this
yeah,
team.
yeah,
Um, kind of, dealing with guys who on the professional roster, you have 3 guys who are U18.
yeah.
Uh, what kind of stuff guys like you, Fanny, Matt, all those kind of guys, what are you all, like, kinda talking to them about? Like, is there conversations about,
Uh,
keeping your head straight?
yeah, you know, because to be fair, we were all that age once, you know, and I think the good thing about the group we have here is that everyone pretty has that same focus for football. Everyone wants to do well, so the kind of conversations we don't really have to talk to them too much because sometimes I feel like you don't need to put that much pressure on them. They are good players already, but sometimes when we see little things that they could do better, of course we got to let them know. And I think it's very important, more than speaking, to lead by example. So I find a lot of the times maybe we do some extra stuff, you know, and the youngsters see it, they come and get involved as well. And I like that because sometimes, no, most times I think actions speak louder. So if, for example, Mateo, for example, is an attacker as well, similar position to myself, I might be doing some extra training, and I don't even have to tell him. He'll see it and he'll come and do some extra training as well. So when I see things like that, it kind of says to me, okay, yeah, this boy's mind is in the right place. And as long as they all keep in that right direction, because they're very talented players. You know, we have a good coach who he gets onto them enough. So yeah, we're just kind of there to lead by example as the senior players in the team.
I mean, the culture from what I pick up that Tommy, Jay, Kano, and Eric have all made around the club, it's very professional. You
Yeah.
know, that was something I was told from a few guys who played in MLS before, it's like, "This is the most professional team I've been a part of." And even the young guys that they have brought in, like Mateo, like Matthew, those guys, it's like, okay, we got we got guys who are acting on the pitch, as old as some of the people like, MVO, who is, I think, 36. They don't seem to have that immaturity that a lot of youngsters have. Is there something about how Coach, Tommy and Kano and Eric, all them act in training? Do they just treat them like everybody else and it's just the same expectations?
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly it. And as you said, it's just a culture really. It's a very professional culture. Even for me, of everywhere I've been, I have to put this at the top of one of the most professional environments that I've been in. And yeah, they just treat them just like any of the other guys. Because at the end of the day, they are. You know, if you're 17, 18, and you're able to sign a professional contract, then you're a professional as well.
Yeah.
And of course, I think just the way the coaches are, the way they treat us all, the way they talk to us, the way they coach us, it just kind of rubs off on everyone. And we have such a good group as well. So we all kind of just rub off each other and help each other to be better. So it is a really good environment, I must say.
So let's go back now a couple days from when we're recording this. We had the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can talk about your offsides assist. Um,
Yeah.
how how all of y'all didn't just run over to the AR and didn't lose your mind, I don't know.
Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, like it was a bad call, and we all acknowledged that, and we actually laughed about it today. Um, but that's it. We can't really do anything about it. Once the decision is made, no matter how much we shout, no matter how much we get in their faces, the whistle's been blown. They've made the decision. They're not going to change it, even if it does show on a big screen that it was clearly onside. You know. I just feel more for one. That's a goal, like
Yeah.
a legitimate goal stricken off. I know how that feels as well. So, um, but yeah, the decision is made. We can't do anything about it. All we can do is try to come back from it,
Yeah.
and thankfully we did. Yeah.
So something that I noted as I was, down on the pitch taking notes, doing whatever, there is this forward line from the wingers to your or out and out strikers like you. We have one, and obviously he hasn't got as much playing time, but like Eddie, you are three guys that physicality is just off the roof.
Mm,
It's been a long time since I've seen three forwards at with Legion, maybe ever three true forwards that can out physical just about everybody.
yeah.
Is that how big of a part of that of your game and like Juan and Eddie's game is like just being out to just out muscle and out bully another defender?
Yeah. I think it's a big part of our game because we're all pretty big guys. So um, it's all about playing to your strengths really. And coach tells us it enough. You know, play to your strengths, play to your strengths. At the end of the day, if our physical presence is what we have, then we've got to use it. And I think here, with the coaching and everything, they're kind of allowing us to hone in on it. You know, some coaches try to move you away from that. No, no, you don't need to play like that, play like this. But here, we're being encouraged a lot to actually play to our strengths. So I think it helps, you know, it helps build confidence and it just helps to do what you're good at because at the end of the day, you're going to succeed doing what you're good at, not trying to change it too much. So, yeah.
So in the past here, the emphasis on wing play has been insane, right? Because we've only had the one true out and out striker, and that was a guy named Nico Brett who moved on to New Mexico. Other than that, it's been kind of goals by committee, our wingers making the plays. Coming in, you have already made a major impact with Legion fans on being one of the best wingers we've seen, and that includes a guy that we've sold on to France for allegedly $500,000.
Mm,
And you're already in that same conversation as them. With how Tommy and Kano use the wings, and you've been used as a striker too, but especially in this Pittsburgh game, we've seen how insane you can be out wide. How cool is that for you to be able to play your natural position at a high level?
uh, it is. It is very cool and it's very nice because I've sometimes in the past I've kind of I've done a lot of both roles, but I guess it kind of depends on the environment I'm in. So if the coach feels that this environment suits me to play more as a winger, then I'll do that for the team. If he feels it suits me to play more as a striker, I'll do that for the team as well. So I think the main thing is just chemistry with the team. So as long as we understand each other, we understand the tactics and the plays, then I'll be able to be at my best. The team will be able to be at their best. And once again, it's just always humbling to be held in such high regards by fans and teammates. But at the same time, I think I've got to give my teammates a lot of credit for it as well, because at the end of the day, it's an 11-man on the field sport, so we can't. No one person can do anything on their own. But yeah, as long as we stick to our game plans and our tactics, wherever coach feels it's going to be best for me to play, then I'll do that. If you realize in the game I started off up top as a striker, then when he felt it right to push me to the wing, and of course it turned out to be the right decision. So my main thing is just to listen to the coach, take his instructions on board, and then hopefully, just as I said, just always do my best and be the best for the team that I can be.
So
Yeah.
one of the cool things about your career that I, read on when we signed you, because
Yeah.
when we signed you, it was like, oh, we just signed this guy that we've never heard of because you're in Northern Cyprus, and it's
Yeah.
like we're bringing a guy from England. That's awesome. And then we waited for like 3 weeks. It's like, where
Yeah.
is he?
Yeah.
So a lot of us just kept digging and reading. One of the coolest things about your career is playing both in the Copa del Rey and in the FA Cup, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How is both obviously you growing up, the FA Cup is kind of like the competition besides maybe the Prem, but like
Yeah.
the FA Cup is the thing. And then going over to Copa del Rey, kind of with the fans, did they treat it pretty similarly, or are they different environments with those different competitions?
Uh, you know, it's pretty much the same environment. It's pretty much the same environment. They're held in very high regards, especially because it's a time to dream. I think recently in the US Open Cup, Sacramento and Orlando, it's that sort of situation.
Yeah.
So if you go far enough, the minute we start the FA Cup, we're thinking, wow, like if we win 1 or 2 games against teams that we can beat, then we can find ourselves playing a Premier League team. So I think with that, because of that dream, the atmosphere is always so high. Like I remember and then going on to Spain, in the Copa del Rey, if we had we lost the game 1-0, but if we had won that game, we were going to play against Real Betis. Yeah, so it's like we kind of gone into that first game, like, look, this is a team that we can beat. Like they're lower in the table than us in their division. We can beat this team, and if we beat them, then we get a home game against Real Betis. How amazing would that be? So yeah, I think in both aspects, in England and in both Spain, it's treated very very highly with the fans. I remember both times packed out stadiums, a lot of noise, and just whoever wants it more on the day wins it. Yeah, so it was really something, a really good experience as well. Mm.
So moving here, obviously Legion did not have the best Open Cup run, getting knocked out by an old foe from back in the PDL days, Tormenta, a team that we had played 4 or 5 years ago, and they destroyed us. Then it was sad,
Mm.
but they we that's something that I know a lot of Legion fans want to take very seriously is the Open Cup because if you can draw an MLS team to Birmingham, it's one of those things that it will bring a crowd because people
Yeah,
see the names, people will see the league and be like, "Oh, this is a real deal now." And coming to a club that is growing, that is trying to build something, how much of a project is that for a player, if that makes sense?
yeah. I think it's in terms of where it is for players. I think it's just as big a project really because it's also publicity for you as a player. It's a
Mhm.
chance for you to test yourself against players that you might never even think you have the opportunity to play against. And it's just a reward, really, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of us, we all play this game. We want to win something. We want to have something to show. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, how great would it be to say, I played against LA Galaxy and we won. Do you know what I mean? So I think in terms of yes, for the club, it's great for the club, but for the player, it's equally as important, especially depending on where you're trying to go, what you're trying to achieve, and just for that personal pride and satisfaction. I think you've always got to want to win and always got to want to go as far as possible. So I think it's not any bigger for me. I don't feel like it's any much bigger for the club than it would be for me. I hold it as high regard as I feel like the club would as well.
I mean, it's a really strange situation moving to Protective, which is an awesome venue.
Yeah.
It is, but it's so big, right? But
Mm,
there's been a couple times now that we have seen, especially the big stands, right? There's a lot of fans over there, and they're all spread around that, maybe a smaller venue, we could get a true appreciation for how many fans are
yeah.
coming out to this match.
Mm.
But when you're down on the pitch and, you score your game-winning goal like you did against Pittsburgh, hearing that pop, I mean, does it sound just as big to you as it does to the fans?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I look around the stadium. It is full, as you just said. The stadium is really big. It's a nice field. It's a big venue, but we get a good turnout. And I think with how all the fans are there, it just motivates us to go on. It touched me that much more when I managed to get that game winner just because of the fans, because they were making noise all throughout the game. Every play we made, we're getting cheered on. It's amazing. It is amazing. It don't matter how big a venue is. If the fans want to be heard, they'll be heard, and we
Yeah.
heard them. So it was good. It was nice. Yeah.
So, kind of speaking of the fans, one of the questions I was asked to ask you was because people are trying to come up with, obviously chants for all the players, and people are really struggling with yours. Is there any that have been come up with throughout your playing career that got a laugh out of you, or just like you're like, ah, that's a good one?
Uh, it's a bit hard to share that now because obviously where I've been to so many different countries with the languages, always always something different. Maybe a different language, or like the Turkish fans, they cheer differently. The Cyprus fans cheer differently. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to hear what anyone can come up with. But one thing, people call me Bala for short as well. So if that's an easier phrase to use, then yeah. But I'd like to leave that in their hands, to see what they can come up with.
From my understanding, that apparently God Save Sadik was going to be the one, and then, recent events happened, so I think
Yeah.
that one got scrapped.
Oh,
As
that would have been an interesting one.
it,
Yeah.
as an Englishman, was that weird seeing the news of the Queen passing?
Uh, it was actually because you know may she rest in peace. She's old now. So I feel like when I heard she was ill, we kind of thought like, it's just a matter of time. But it's one of them things that you kind of see coming, but you don't really expect it to happen, if that makes sense. So it was a bit weird. It's sad, um, because obviously the monarchy has been a big part of the English history. But we're strong people. We move on, and yeah, that's life. Life. Yeah.
I know for a lot of people, because there is a surprising amount of, I guess, English, fans that support Legion, and all of them were like, "This is just weird." It's not really like I'm sad or depressed, like I lost a grandma, but it's like it's just weird because it was, what, 70 years of
Yeah,
her just being around, doing her
yeah,
thing. It's like, suddenly it's
yeah,
not here anymore.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good way to explain it, really. Um, like you said, she's passed away. It's sad. Obviously, it hit others more than it hit everyone differently. But at the end of the day, the way I look at it, like, it's sad, rest in peace. But life goes on. What
Yeah,
can we do? We've
yeah.
got a new king now. we move on. We have to move on. Yeah,
See, as someone, obviously, you've spent a little time in the US now, but hearing just, "Oh, we just got a new king now," that's such a foreign concept to me.
yeah,
And I guess for a lot of English people, that is a foreign concept to y'all at this point right now too.
yeah. Uh, I have my whole views on the whole thing. It's not something I really want to get into, but it is in some ways.
Yeah,
It's what can I really say?
fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah,
So, coming down the stretch now, well, actually, I wanna back up a little bit. You One of the first matches, obviously played against Atlanta United. I think you got a little bit of time against Detroit City,
yeah,
but, you came on in what a lot of Legion fans, one of the biggest wins of the year, and that was against Memphis.
yeah,
Um, fans, that's our big one. That's our big derby match,
Yeah,
and we had never won in Memphis before.
yeah,
Were there some things said in the locker room beforehand, during like we've never won here, let's do this.
yeah. So I like to take some credit for that because I actually done my initiation song, so that kind of motivated the guys.
Okay, okay.
But
What was your song? What was your song?
Billie Jean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
No, but yeah, we were really focused on that game, and hearing around, we'd never won there before. Everyone was just really focused. So even me coming on the time I came on as well, I felt like we were kind of just had that kind of a very defensive mindset. Like, look, we're in the lead. We got to do what we got to do to see it out. And as I said, it's a case where we were just focused, not really too much talking. We just planned to go out there and leave it all on the field, and we did and got the result. So that was a big plus. Um,
So, I mean, for a lot of Legion fans, it was the finally. It was the because that was the boogeyman. We were a couple years ago, maybe it was last year, up 3-1 in the 90th minute, and we concede 2 goals in 3 minutes to draw, including a bicycle kick at the final whistle. It
uh,
was one of the most heartbreaking things. And so when you guys had gone up 4-2, there were Memphis fans leaving. There were people, this game's over. And I had my head in my hands the whole time, just thinking, please, boys.
uh,
Just, obviously you weren't around for that, but kind of making sure, I guess, you just don't let off the gas because everybody says the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in football. Is that something that you guys kind of had to be like, okay, really don't concede?
yeah, yeah. Because if you saw, even after being 2 goals up, we didn't drop our intensity. The fight was still on because, like you said, it is one of the most dangerous leads because the minute they score one, all of a sudden they have momentum.
Mhm.
We start panicking a little bit and we leave ourselves susceptible to another one. So yeah, I think it didn't matter that we were 2 goals up. The game plan was the same. Coach was shouting on the sideline, "Get back, get up, don't let up." So we were playing just as if it was still 0-0, or trying to anyway. So yeah, it's never take your foot off the gas, and I'm a strong believer in that. It doesn't matter if you're 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 up. If we can carry on going and do more, I believe you've always got to do it because you just never know in this game. You never know. 5 minutes can change everything.
Yeah.
Like you said about the part one of the past games.
Yeah. So moving forward now, we are in the final stretch of this. And, playoffs are a big thing here. Obviously, not that way everywhere else. But getting the home playoff game and the win against Pittsburgh, a lot of fans, that was a big one for us too, the with what happened last year with our home playoff game getting canceled because of an alleged Halloween party that Pittsburgh had, and we had to go to Tampa Bay to play in the playoffs. Who, they're the real deal. They've been one of the classes of the USL and lower league soccer for a long time. Going down the stretch, it's no secret to fans that the teams on the schedule are one of the hardest stretches in all of the USL.
Yeah.
How do you guys, I guess I'm not helping here, keep that out? How do it's like we're going to win every game because we can. How do you keep that the focus?
Uh, we just got to embrace it. We train hard. We don't really think too much about that because if they're some of the best teams, we're one of the best teams as well. And I think believing that is one of the biggest parts for us because since I've been here, I've never looked at us as a mediocre team. I haven't even seen us as a mediocre team. I think that we've been a very, very top team.
Mhm.
And I honestly don't believe we've actually come up against someone since I've been here that I can honestly say has been far better than us. So going into that and knowing what's at stake as well, it just kind of keeps us screwed on. But at the same time, we you don't have to keep thinking, feeling pressure of the next game. The next game is one game at a time. We go into it, give our best, and what's meant to be will be. We give everything, we leave everything on the field, and I'm sure we'll come out with the points we need to cement a good position. Yeah.
So, last couple questions for you before I let you go. Um, the ones that I always enjoy asking is obviously you're an attacker, you're trying to score goals, and some of the things that I've heard is that some of the toughest defense that you'll ever face happens right there in training. There's no doubt that this back line is one of the best in the USL,
Yeah.
even better than I think a lot of MLS teams, to be
Yeah.
honest. When you're coming down the wing or you're coming through the middle in a scrimmage or just training session, who's the one defender you want to see the least in front of you?
Well, who I want to see the least. That's pretty tough because our defenders all around are pretty good. So to answer that particular question is a hard one because I might go down the side where Fanny might be give me a hard time, and I go where Alex is give me another hard time. You know, Johnny equally. So it's a case of um, I can't really answer that. It's kind of a tough one. What I will say is our scrimmages are tough in training. They're very competitive. There's not always too many goals, and the losing team is always pissed. We have that kind of that competitiveness in training, and sometimes I honestly believe that the matches we play in training are sometimes harder than the games we actually face on the weekend. So yeah, it's that kind of feels like a trick question because our defense, as you said it, our backline is pretty solid.
I mean, I've heard every answer at this point when it
Yeah,
comes to the defenders. I mean, Fanny's one of the best defenders in the USL. Alex is there. I get that he is like 7'10" and he is as tall as a skyscraper, but
yeah,
sometimes he is just able to get his toe on something that seems like it's 10 feet away from him. And
yeah,
then
yeah. And he's really
Johnny
intelligent as
is,
well. Yeah,
and Johnny's is as fast as they come.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, Jake is sound defensively. Mikey is a jack of all trades, can get you in
yeah,
the midfield. I mean, Ando is not afraid to go in on anybody.
yeah.
It
You know the guys.
Yeah,
You
I
know the
mean,
guys.
it's really funny to kinda hear who people say. And the, last, I guess, training question I have is there's no doubt that Fanny is just a workout machine. we have we can tell just on the pitch of just how, just strong he is, just how much work he puts in. Honestly, if there is a Ironman competition between you and Fanwell Kavita, who can lifting, running, the whole
Yeah.
9 yards, who's winning, you or Fanny?
I'm gonna have to give myself that one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I always bet on myself. No, but it'll be close. It'll be tough. I think. Yeah, he's a workhorse as well. He does work hard. We do have some nice battles in training as well. We had one today actually. But yeah, it's always nice because I feel like you have to have that battle. If I'm not battling with him 100% in training, how am I going to be ready to do it on the weekend? And the same for him. If he's not battling with me 100% in training, if he comes up against someone similar to myself, how's he going to be prepared to deal with it? And
Yeah.
that goes for all of us. And I think that's just why we're always 100% in training because at the end of the day, you got to be ready to face it on the weekends. Yeah.
So, what's the last question for you? What do you do, I guess, in your free time? Are you a reader? Do video games?
Yeah.
What's your do? What do you do?
Yeah, so I enjoy the gym. So sometimes I do that, but to be honest, with the training schedule, I haven't been really doing much gym outside of the football. Yeah, I watch a lot of football games, um, some movies, and I read at night. I'm a bit of a reader as well. Yeah, so I like these little non-fiction books, motivational books, help books. I like all that stuff. But yeah, it's just pretty much that. And obviously, I'm a family man as well.
Right.
So it's kind of because my family's not here. They're normally what would take up most of my time off the field. But because they're not here, I'm having to kind of refine my hobbies again, what I like to do when I'm alone and whatnot. So that's it's kind of nice finding myself a little bit again as well.
Have
Yeah.
you have you joined the train of all the foodies, the foodie FC thing?
Uh, I went out once with them. Yeah, I went out once with the guys. You know, that was nice. I like that kind of thing as well. Going out, seeing new places, which I haven't done too much here as well. So that might be something I might have to add to the list of things to do. Just getting out more and actually seeing Birmingham a bit.
I
Yeah,
mean, the big thing around here, obviously barbecue. We pride ourselves on the barbecue.
yeah.
So find your one, I guess. Other than that, I guess what's your food? Like what's your food of choice?
Oh, my food choice. I do enjoy a bit of barbecue, like on the grill. You know, I like a lot of grilled barbecue stuff as well. Um, but yeah, I'm a big chicken guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really discriminate with food, to be honest. I'm open. I'm open to try anything. My missus always gets onto me about that, like you eat everything. But yeah, I'm always open to try everything because at the end of the day, you gotta explore to know what you like, right? So
No doubt.
yeah, yeah.
There's a place that's not too far from you called the Pho Place.
The
It's
what? The
the
five.
Pho Place,
The f-
PHO place.
okay, okay.
It's it's cheap, it's
Yeah,
good. It I recommend, highly
yeah,
recommend.
yeah, yeah. Okay. After season, I have a plan. I'm making my list. After season, when we're done, you know, hopefully we win the playoffs. Then I'll go and I'll enjoy everything. I'll eat
All
as much as I can.
right.
Yeah. For now, I gotta watch it a little bit.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
Well, I said that was the last question. This is always the last question I do with, anybody that I interview. What
yeah.
are just some final things that you kind of want to say to the players? Like, is there anything about you that you, or to the fans, is there anything about you that you want fans to know? Any kind of message you have for the people listening?
Uh, hmm. Nothing particular. I'll just say just the support really. Just if everyone can please just keep up the support, keep coming out, keep cheering us on. Um, I can speak for all of us when I say we it gives us fuel. It just adds fuel to the fire really, and to see the more people there, it's always better. And hopefully with their support and backing, we'll be able to bring home a playoff, bring home a championship. So yeah, let's do it together. Hammer down.
Yeah, there we go, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sadik Balarabe. I cannot thank you enough, man. Good luck the rest of the season. I hope you score all the goals, dude.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. It was a real pleasure.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Okay.